look, Draymond Green.
Getting dunked on.
Is that a nice little segue there? So the Warriors had some odd little trades, but no one gives a fuck about those. What we truly care about is Draymond really the greatest defensive player of all time?
All right, hot take monster.
Oh man,
tell the story to explain the audience.
So apparently, and the only reason I care about this is because I actually got text about this, which I was surprised about. Draymond Green apparently has said that made a statement on a podcast and said that he thinks that he's the greatest defensive player of all time.
Yeah.
And Tony Allen clapped back and was like,
"Bruh, it'll be on your screen."
Yeah, he was like, "Bruh, get the fuck out of here with that shit." And when my friend originally brought that to my attention, I was like, I personally think Tony Allen is a better defender than Draymond Green, but I think history would put Draymond Green above Tony Allen. Like if we look at it from, because that's how we got to do it. Unfortunately, like 10 years from now, Tony Allen might be one of those players that is like never talked about, and Draymond Green is a 3-time champion, defensive player of the year, and has done big shit in the finals and shit. So he just was given that stage. But I'm curious to know if you guys think that Draymond is the greatest defensive player of all time, and if not, most likely I could agree. I would assume I know the answer. If not, where would you rank him?
So here's my question: where's the cutoff point? And let's make sure it's after 1970, so I can just immediately keep Bill Russell out of my head.
Yeah, I'd go from the 80s. I always do everything from the 80s.
Okay, because the answer is Bill Russell, but we'll move on, and I'll take it more seriously. But we got Dennis Rodman, right? He's on that list.
The 90s Bulls team could be argued. Pippen, Jordan, Rodman.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there. We have, and it also depends on what you like in defense. So like one thing we like about Draymond is his trash talking. It's part of his defense. If we're going to incorporate that into the greatest defenders of all time, I think Bill Laimbeer deserves to be on that list because everyone hated him and they were known for their defense. Yeah. So I think he deserves to be on that list if we're keeping 1980 forward. So I'm just throwing out names.
You just throwing out names. You're not saying
throwing out some names. I'm not saying any of these guys are my pick. I'm just saying my pick will always be Bill Russell, but I'm trying to take it seriously for a second.
Yes.
So I said Dennis Rodman, a guy who has one of the greatest rebounder from 1980 pre-Bill Russell forward, the greatest rebounder
post Bill Russell.
Post, my bad. Sorry.
Post Bill and Will Chamberlain.
Him too. But and he's probably might be a better rebounder than Bill Russell. But excluding those guys and excluding that era, but Dennis Rodman's got to be the best rebounder. Like, I guess you could throw Moses Malone, but I wouldn't say defender. So, yeah. Rodman.
We're talking about strictly.
Rodman got paid for his defense, too.
Huh?
Rodman got paid for his defense, too.
I mean, Draymond got paid for his defense.
No, but I'm saying Rodman got paid for his defense at a time where that was completely unheard of. Like, defenders weren't given big contracts.
Yeah.
And he was one of the first guys to make money because he was scoring 8 points a game.
Yeah, but I mean, 8 points and like 17 rebounds.
That's what I'm saying. So you got him, you got Kevin Garnett.
Yep.
Tim Duncan.
Yep.
Kobe.
My bad.
Kobe, MJ.
Yeah.
LeBron. Olajuwon.
Yeah.
Gary
you know
Payton?
What? If I was Gary Payton.
Gary Payton. Yep.
Dwight Howard.
Ben Wallace.
Ben Wallace.
Mutombo.
Where I think Draymond.
Oh, you're right. You were 100% right, Lynn.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think Draymond's on that list. I think he can be on the list.
Is he a top 10 defender all time? My whole thing is I don't even think.
Remember, listen, we just did a legacy breakdown. This is what's killing me. Is we just recorded a legacy breakdown that will be out next week on LeBron going against the Cavs and the Cavs where they win the championship.
Yeah.
And Draymond was fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like, he was fucking awesome. And I don't know if history will ever remember that because of how that story is going to be told.
But the whole thing, all right, so
I don't know. I
actually like that. Look, he was awesome.
Yeah.
And they lost, though. Like,
yeah. Ooh, I have a question.
But he also called Kevin Durant.
I have a question.
I mean, that's defense.
He's playing defense. What are you saying, Lynn? What's your question?
So, does the amount of technicals a defensive player get decrease how good they are actually good at defense? Because, like, if you're out of the game because you can't play defense without getting a tech, does that work against you?
You know what would be a cool stat that I wish existed, but I know it doesn't, is how many technicals someone caused. Like, if someone's screaming at you and you're the reason that they get a technical, you should get that counted for a
So
stat.
maybe what you want to say, Lynn, is ejections. I think ejections would be more of a...
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. But I mean, but also every time you get a technical...
Dennis Rodman, and we raved about him. And Dennis Rodman got kicked out a lot.
I know, but you also have to think about technicals because every time you get a technical, the other team gets to shoot a free throw. So, I mean, it's literally the opposite of good defense because you're giving them a free point if they make it.
Yeah.
But I don't think Draymond's up there with his technicals and stuff, but he's not the king. He'll never be Rasheed Wallace.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
so I think
my five, no particular order, because I've been thinking about it while we're doing this.
Yeah.
Bill Russell, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, Gary Payton, and then that fifth spot's not for Draymond, but it's undetermined at this juncture. I don't think Draymond's in that spot. I put a couple would you pick Scottie Pippen or Draymond Green?
I'm taking Scottie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and I hate Scottie. I think Scottie's overrated as a player, but he is one of the best defenders to live.
Yeah, to me, Scottie's like a...
I think Scottie's probably...
Scottie's in my top 10 probably in defense.
Scottie might be the 5 spot for me. Just thinking about it off the top of my head.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that 5 either.
Draymond might be the 10 spot. If I were to keep going, I'd have to really look at it though. But he might be in the 10 spot. I'd have to really think about it. Listen,
Draymond Green is a better defender than Tony Allen?
I don't know.
I feel like that's completely unfair. That's super unfair because of what you were saying before, how you started this conversation, where you were talking.
I'm talking about that. That's what I'm saying. Like, no accolades. You say
that's so hard. That's how I determine a lot of this stuff.
But what I'm saying, this is the perfect example. You put Kobe Bryant there, and you say Tony Allen, you guard Kobe. Draymond, you guard Kobe. Who guards him better?
Yeah, but that's
Kobe already answered that question.
What about what about a guy like like Shaq? I think Draymond would have a better chance with a guy like Shaq, even though he'd probably get smashed.
Yeah,
but a guy like Tony Allen, that's the same kind of thing. Draymond Green's a power forward, but he's not going to get his ankles broken by Kobe.
Yeah, he's 6'7" though.
Like, what I'm saying is the reason why Draymond Green's he could guard all 5 positions if necessary. Tony Allen is a guard cuff guy. That's what he's known for. Like,
the only thing is Draymond could guard all 5 positions in a positionless basketball league at the time.
Okay.
It's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's different than how
that's what do we talk about all the time with judging people in the era they're in? Like, that's
what I'm saying, and that's why I thought it was fair to do Tony Allen and Draymond, because they both would guard someone like Kobe. Draymond would guarded LeBron a lot of the finals, and LeBron
he did really well against LeBron.
Huh?
He did really well against LeBron. He did better against LeBron, in my opinion, than Kawhi Leonard had done.
Oh, I disagree. I've seen what happened. Like, I've seen what Kawhi did. Like, it doesn't, like, stats may not tell you that, but watching it, you knew Kawhi Leonard was putting it on.
We just got done in LeBron's legacy breakdown talking about how Draymond had his way with LeBron to start that series, and really was in his head. And you were killing me over the fact that if Draymond was still in that series, they would be a champion.
Yeah.
I just don't think I don't.
Though, like it's not like I've seen my whole thing is like you have I've seen Tony Allen play defense. Like I remember getting frustrated with him. Like Tony Allen is a great defender. He's just and that was what my friend was like. That was his big thing. He was like he was pretty much like, there's no way Draymond's a better defender than Tony Allen. And I said,
but Draymond Green is the best defensive player on a 3-time champion. Like that matters too.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I said like, but and that was what I was saying. I was like, unfortunately, history is gonna make it look like Draymond was a better defender.
But you can't tell me that Draymond Green would just get destroyed by like that's a I don't like that Kobe comparison. I don't like that though. But that's a stupid. I don't think that's a smart way to be judging defenders especially because Tony Allen. That was his job to guard guards. Like Draymond Green, he could guard everybody pretty well.
Okay.
Like, you're not putting Tony Allen on a fucking center. Like so I think that matters.
How are you judging your top 5? Like how are you breaking that up?
I like my if you were the start of an archetype, you get a bonus for me. Like if you are a multiple time champion. But this is my list, motherfucker. You asked me for my list. You didn't ask me. These are all subjective. Yours is who can guard Kobe the best. Like, mine are different.
No, but I mean, Tony Allen's not in my top 5 defenders of all time. But I'm saying, because I understand your all-time list saying it's an architect, but there's not an architect to defense.
I totally disagree. I completely disagree with that sentiment. Bill Russell set the foundation for guys after him, period. There's no getting around that. I can trace it all the way to Draymond Green if you'd like.
Okay.
There's undersized guys who were dominant on defense and facilitated on offense have been, through history, champions. Bill Russell, the greatest.
Okay.
The greatest. I fucking love that guy. Because even though people say he would not be able to play now.
What's the next defensive architect? That's what I want to know, because I don't
probably like Jerry West was the original guard who would like get a lot of steals and be in passing lanes, and like a Walt Frazier guys like that who was on the Knicks, from the guard perspective, they were the original guys who would like be there and the lockup. So that goes right, Jerry West to if we're gonna go a little bit I'm sure I'm missing Dennis Johnson is in the 70s, right?
Yep.
Sidney Moncrief, Jordan, and Gary Payton, those guys. And that's how the archetype goes. Now, do I think Jerry West is one of the greatest defenders of all time? No, I think people did his archetype way better. But Bill Russell's got 11 championships, so I hold it a little bit. You know what I mean? The man did the Draymond Green, but he was the leader of the team, and he won 11 titles. Like, that's the thing where Draymond's going to get put on that when it's all said and done. Like, what if he gets another title and he's a critical defensive force? You know what I mean? Like, Gary Payton has a championship, but he was riding the bench at Miami. It was his last year.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't hold that championship nearly as the same as I would Draymond's 3 titles. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just don't.
That's how I look at
it. That's one thing that kind of puts Draymond up there for me. Yeah. In terms of, I think he's more of a top 20 guy. I don't have him in my top 10 personally, but
I can't argue that yet. I can't argue it confidently yet. For me, he would be 10 maybe. Like that's just where I'm looking at.
What about anywhere between 10 to 15?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Like I just think
I'm not mad at him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not. I'm not gonna go to bat for Draymond like that. But if he gets another title and he's a critical part of it defensively, it's gonna be hard to argue.
Yeah,
because now he's got to climb the mountain a second time. Not many guys do that.
Yeah,
and when I say climb the mountain, I mean when you have the 3 titles, you're on top. You know what I mean? Like now you've been hit, and now you got to come all the way back up. People have questioned you, whatever. Now if you get a title, like it makes it hard to deny it.
Yeah,
I guess.
What about you, Lynn? You think you got him in your top 10, top 5?
10 to 15, probably.
10 or 15.
Who's your favorite defensive player ever, Lindsay? Curious.
I don't think I actually have one.
Oh, gun to your head. Gun to your head. Pretend.
I don't know.
Do you guys have Draymond over Kawhi?
No, I don't think so.
No, not this second.
So, all right. So,
No.
this brings because I want to understand it. So, Kawhi Leonard has won 2 championships, right?
Yeah.
Off of his deep. I don't know if I would.
That's the thing. He did a lot more, so it's a little bit different. Like it's hard to argue. You know what I mean? Like when you.
That's what I'm saying. Strictly off of defense, like because Draymond, he was a core part of a Warriors defense that was top 5 in the league all the years that they won the championship.
Yeah, like he was top 5 in defensive player of the year voting every single year at that point.
Yeah. So and he won a defensive player of the year. Kawhi's won 2, right?
True.
So
true.
I wouldn't even think twice. I think Kawhi Leonard is definitely a better defender than Draymond because I think Draymond's more of a better help defender. I don't think he's a great lockup defender, like where you put him on someone and they're gonna just get locked up. Like especially if it's a superstar, I don't see him. But Kawhi Leonard is that type of guy. Like if you want this guy not to score, put this guy on him and you good. Yeah, like that.
That's I can agree with that to an extent. I think Draymond's a little bit better of a lockup than what you're saying, but I agree with that to an extent. Kawhi Leonard did. At the end of the day, Kawhi Leonard's done things defensively that I just genuinely thought were impossible.
Yeah. And it was the time that I remember we had an argument on our group chat about Kawhi Leonard guarding Kobe Bryant. Yeah. I remember that. And I thought everyone was fucking insane for thinking that he could.
Yeah.
And I was having an aneurysm. But that was never a conversation with Draymond because no one would think that. That's my whole thing.
But again, Kawhi Leonard's from that Tony Allen mold of defense where he's a little bit bigger, and which is why he can kind of guard more size and why he's considered a little bit higher on the ranks to me. But if Tony Allen had size, he would be, I think, as good of a defensive player as Kawhi Leonard.
My brain did not jump to nice things when you said that Kawhi Leonard's like Tony Allen. I was like, oh, you mean crazy? Like he comes off crazy when playing defense?
Yeah.
You have to have a little bit of a screw.
I just wanted to have an understanding of like where, because if anything, we look at accolades, I feel like Draymond has more of the accolades than Kawhi in terms of, like, if we talk about defensive accolades.
Well, not really. He's 6-time All-Defense and 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, as opposed to Draymond, who's 5-time All-Defense and only 1 time. So not really.
Yeah, but but the biggest thing with Draymond is a lot of people would say that Draymond is the reason that team was as good as they were too. Like sure, like defensively, because
defensively only.
Huh?
Defensively only.
Defensively only.
Yeah.
And,
which matters.
He was a point forward, like, because that helped. Obviously, that helped a lot. But
that look how that hinders. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, them being a top 5 offense. A lot of the times you have a top 5 offense and they're like a middle of the pack defense. Yeah. Like they were a top 5 offense and defense, and I think the defensive part was because of Draymond Green.
Yeah, I could see that, but again, as we're penalizing someone like Tony Allen who only played one side of the ball, once we get to this upper echelon discussion, that's where I think about, well, you're only putting your energy on defense. You know what I mean?
But my whole thing is
hold Kawhi to a little bit higher of a standard.
You can't. That's just unfortunate that, like, that's why Kobe's not in my top 5 in defense. Like, Kobe was a great defender, but I'm not gonna say he's top 5 because he played great offense. Like, you can't bring that up in the defensive conversation. Like,
I
just think Kawhi Leonard's defense is that much better than Draymond's. Like,
right, but I think you don't think it takes more energy to play great offense and great defense, because that's why I think about it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're the greatest defensive player ever. Like,
no, but I think it shows your prowess in general.
Which is significantly better than the other person, sure. But I'm talking about because you can't do a top 5 defensive list and bring up.
I just think if Tony Allen had to score 20 points a game, he'd be a worse defender.
I mean,
of course.
That's my
That's
point.
the whole thing. It doesn't
That's
matter.
my point.
We're not talking about offense. We're talking only about defense. Like,
Well, I agree,
I
but
kind of get where Russ is coming from, because I think the point that he's trying to say is you hear a lot of times when you have superstars being switched off guarding other superstars because they want to save their energy for offense. So I think Russell's point in the inverse is you have players not saving their energy for defense, but putting up better defensive numbers than the person that doesn't really put out any offensive numbers.
And why the Bill Russell thing is crazy to me, because I know you're probably thinking about that, is the reason why I hold Bill Russell to that point is because there wasn't really anybody who was a huge scorer on that Celtics team. It was a team. And there's no one who watched that team that didn't say Bill Russell was he was the whole thing. It didn't work without him. He triggered the fast break, and that's what they ran their shit on. Like with Draymond, he's spotting up, he's standing, he's spotting up. That's what he's doing, or he's passing out from the point, waiting for Curry to do screens, right? So he's not putting in, he's not putting in the same offensive energy as a guy like Kawhi, who's got to get the ball on the first option every single fucking time, and he's banging down low, especially in the playoffs. He's on the block. He's fucking driving to the basket.
But to me, Kawhi, even with Kawhi having all of that, I think he's a better defender than Draymond. Okay. Before the whole thing is we had the luxury before Kawhi Leonard became a star.
Yeah,
he had that Draymond role where I'm not really doing that much offensively, and I'm playing strictly mainly defense. And he won 2 Defensive Player of the Years because of that. You know what I mean? Like to me, I never thought. I'm just saying, like, I could see how someone like listening could say, well, Draymond kind of has more of the credentials than Kawhi. But if you actually watched with your eyes and seen Kawhi Leonard guard someone and seen Draymond guard somebody, that would not even be a question. Like, and they played in the same exact era. So, like, to me, that's like a perfect example of Kawhi Leonard is just head and shoulders above Draymond to me defensively. Like, if you had to put him on anybody one-on-one, he's locking them the fuck up, and I don't think Draymond's doing that. I think Draymond's gonna have.
I think in this era they're both top 5.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I could see that. I just think Kawhi's 1, and he's probably like 2 or 3.
It's fine. Maybe. But to me, in my head, that's not head and shoulders above. That's why I had to clarify that statement.
Yeah, but you were saying
head and shoulders above, and I was like, what is he, out of your top 5 in the era? Because I think he's the top 5 of the era. But that's fine. That makes sense.
LeBron James, just to give some like clarification on my thought process of it. LeBron James has been number 1 like these last 10 years. Has he not been head and shoulders over Kevin Durant as 2 these last 10 years?
But to me, that's
but I think that's the point. That's the issue with like the numbers. That's the issue with just saying here's my 1 through 5, because it doesn't always show the gap between technically 4 is better than 5, but 4 is like 1,000 times better than 5.
Yeah. Like I'm only bringing up 5 because I have to say 5, like a number 5, like whoever's 5. Yeah,
that's mad.
Exactly. Like that's why. But that's why I'm just trying to bring it up, because I just think Kawhi Leonard is one of to me, Kawhi Leonard could be argued as a top 5 defender all time.
Sure, I wasn't thinking about them, but I could. Yeah. Again,
I don't have.
The bar for me will always be, I think, Scotty. Where are you at in comparison to Scottie Pippen on a defensive? Because I think
Scotty's he's one of the greatest defensive players of all time to me.
Yeah.
Too.
So do I think Kawhi is a better defender than him? I don't know. We'll see. That's for a different podcast. Yeah. But I'm glad you asked this question, still.